Welcome back to the Wolf of Queen Street podcast. Today on the show, Stanley Henry, the visionary founder of The Attention Seeker, a innovative social media agency with multiple brands across multiple platforms, $2.5 million followers across your social media, and sort of for the last couple of years, yourself, your team, or anyone involved yourself, the only thing I've seen across most of my social media. And Stanley, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah. Man, it's been, as with a lot of my guests, it's been a couple of years in the making, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we reached out, I reached out to you a few years ago when I could start seeing things. You were on the up and I was on the plateau, and I was like, I want to ride this man's tailcoats. And things are going crazy. And then about a month ago, you did a post of like, I'm saying yes to everything in 2025. I was like, damn it. I'm getting you on the show this time. Yeah, you ain't fucking getting out of it now, right? And so you are.
No, here we are. Yeah, exactly. Trying to get on 100 podcasts this year. So it's been a bit of a mission to do it. But yeah, always knew you were top of the list. And obviously we've been talking back and forth.
Oh, you don't have to.
You
have to give me a bigger head.
No, because mate, I want to steal your audience. So guys, totally. Come on over. I'm not stupid.
So you're talking about, before we get into your story, interesting thing, you're talking about getting into 100 podcasts this year. So I interviewed a guy very early on in my career, ex-prisoner over in America and stuff, and he used a very interesting strategy, something I'm happy for you to use. And I've had another friend do the same. Yeah. And what he did is he did a 48-hour blitz where he went out and for 48 hours straight, within a little bit of time sleeping, he did as many podcasts as he could across one weekend. Wow. And most of them try to hit 100 podcasts in 48 hours. Yeah. And I interviewed him as part of this blitz, and it was a great episode and everything else. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, dude, what are you thinking? And he goes, just think about the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks, how many times across 100 shows my face is going to be seen or heard across different audiences. Yeah. And he said that 48 hours for literally 6 or 12 months built his brand. Yeah. And I've had another friend of mine do the exact same thing over 48 hours. He went, I think, 24 hours straight at one stage before he took his first break. And again, it was close to 100 different people. And crazy strategy. Yeah. But totally affected, right? I love it. And I thought, as you mentioned, I'm like, you might enjoy, and you are crazy enough to think 100%. About something, right?
100%. That's a great idea.
But I actually think you might do 72 hours, right? With a little bit of sleep. Do 3 days.
I reckon, just like open up a booking and just tell people to come record your podcast here with us. And I just sit in this chair and just do 100 back-to-back concerts, right?
And just coffee after coffee, right?
Bring in the McDonald's.
I know. As we're recording the show, we're going to have a coffee machine actually installed as we're going right now. So you might hear the guys in the background, but the condition should be is they can't use your coffee. They've got to bring in one for you. So that's the payment.
That's actually not a bad idea.
They've got to pay you with a coffee, and you don't tell them what you like. So then you can also see what they think you like. Some human psychology, right?
I love it. Yeah.
But anyway, Stan, getting into it is you've got one of the most forefront digital agency marketing agencies across New Zealand since 2019. From the launch, The Attention Seeker, massive strategies and concepts and everything else your team's doing, but that's not been your life. Anyone that will know in the last 5 years understands that, but what you did before was totally obscure and different fundamentally to what it is now. You want to just talk us through that sort of crazy lifespan?
Yeah, absolutely. So like almost my entire career for like 12 years or so prior to starting this business was hotels. Now, food and beverage mostly. So I came up through food and beverage departments. My first job was at the Sky Tower, at the buffet restaurant that used to be at the top of the Sky Tower Observatory. And then I moved to Australia, and I just sort of worked my way up hotels until I became a general manager of hotels. And the reason I did that and pursued that career is because I've always been quite entrepreneurial at heart, but my father was also a real serial entrepreneur. And I watched him boom and bust a lot, as a lot of serial entrepreneurs do. And that sort of scared me a bit, I don't want that. Let's go get a stable job. It obviously didn't hold me forever because I needed that. But that hotel career, what it did do though, is it taught me business. It gave me an education that I wouldn't have got anywhere else. And that's the beauty with hotels, is that as a general manager, you do generally manage every part of the business. So you really get a good education on what it is to run a successful business.
And it's also, and interesting enough, successful business, quick on the fly, quick decisions, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. In hospitality, things change daily.
Yeah. I wouldn't say daily. Things change quicker.
Minute by minute. And especially you think about dynamic pricing, even as an example. Like most services, most professional services, they would not have a clue what dynamic pricing is. You know, they got their pricings that they charge, their rate cards, whatever. Whereas in like hotels, you're literally like every hour, every 30 minutes, whatever it is, the revenue manager's job is like, have we got the right price set for this, for the next hour worth of bookings, you know? So that sort of part of it is just stuff you would never have ever learned anywhere else. I'm super stoked I got that education.
It's amazing. It's hospitality is a different industry that a lot of people don't appreciate. Back my day, I used to run in clubs and bars back in South Africa. So nice. A bit more of the chaotic fun
I was
side
going to say that'd be crazy.
But it's the same sort of stuff. You know, there's the fun side of it, but then people don't also realize there's the moments when you're on the floor, mopping the floor because the coffee machine's exploded, or staff's gone and dropped bottles somewhere, or you get the annoying customer that 20 years ago you could tell them to fuck off. Today you get cancelled for that, right? It does teach you a lot of different things that life doesn't, right? It teaches you the quickness, thinking on your feet, where to go, and also it's one of those weird industries that sometimes, as much as you said yourself being GM, sometimes it doesn't matter how you're up. You still need someone else to give the right answer. You don't know everything, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're right about that. Like, yes, as a GM, one day, you're walking around in your suit and, bossing people around, and the next minute you're like mopping up vomit. Yeah. Because some drunk person in your bar sings and like everyone else is busy, so you've got to clean it up. And, like one of the things I would always do as part of my job, because I would leave, say, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon as a GM, but the bar would go crazy at that time as well. So the last thing I'd always do before I leave is like, you go to clean the toilets, because the toilet's always a bomb, because everyone's in there, they're drinking, they're going in. And those sorts of things, you don't do that in like professional services. Like it's very rare that like a senior partner will be like, I better check the toilets before I go home. And so that behavior around like service and like having pride in your space and like doing the hard yards when you need to, like it's really translated to this business. And if you ask any of my team who have to clean the toilets and, look after customers, and the reason we got a coffee machine getting installed is because like when people walk through that door, you need to be able to offer them that like beverage or service and look after them. We don't want like the stale, boring thing. So like I owe so much of my success to my hospitality career. It's been huge. Yeah,
that's so true. I think there's really only one big corporate guy that I see at the moment. It's because I've also worked with a company, but it's been mostly in the news about different and willing to get on the tools. Is old Greg Foran from Air New Zealand, right? He's one of the very few Kiwi guys. I mean, he went over to Walmart and pulled him back from the groups of walking in the stores, seeing what customers went through. I mean, you still see images now. He's cleaning planes. I mean, he's CEO of Air New Zealand, one of the biggest companies in New Zealand, and global brand, and he's cleaning airplanes with everyone else.
Serving tea,
and the rest of it. And he's got no issues to understand what the clients and customers, journey goes through. So hospitality, all the rest. But I'll tell you a little bit of a crazy story of one of my Vegas stories. And you'd appreciate this being in the hotel industry. So we go to Vegas, myself and my wife, and we enjoy with a few friends. And we go and stay at the Flamingo. Now, the Flamingo is not the greatest place. I've stayed at the Venetian. I've stayed at all that. But we're going for party week. So Flamingo's mid-strip. Great one. Great pool parties. But the funny enough is you don't get a fridge automatically in your rooms because you've got to pay for all these different premiums. So the 1 year, the guy that takes us to our room keeps asking us if we need medication. By the door, he's like, does your wife need medication? Or does your wife have medication? So I'm like, no. He goes, no, but doesn't your wife need medication that needs to be kept cold? And then I look at her and she goes, yeah. And I go, yeah, she's got medication needs to keep cold. He goes, great, I'll get you a fridge for no charge because it's for medication, right? But in the following year, we get a room again, a nice room, but no fridge. And we come in back to the room, down the long hallways. Flamingo's got a long like a T-stop. So you go all the way down and then you go all the way right or you go all the way left and stuff like that. We're walking back from the one party and I stand there and a room has just been cleared, but they've left the fridge outside because these rooms don't have fridges. So I look at the wife, I'm like, we don't have a fridge. And there's no one in the hallway. So here's me, partially drunk, down the hallway on the Flamingo, picks up the fridge, hauling ass,
I love it.
right, to get this fridge into my hotel room, get inside, oh yeah, we've got a fridge, no one saw us. And then she's like, you do know we're in a hotel, right? In Vegas.
Yeah.
You likely got seen like,
Like cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere, right? You're like, and there's likely some guy in the security room just laughing his ass off because some drunk, overweight South African dude's running down the thing with a fridge, acting like no one can see him, right? And I was just like,
all the time.
hospitality is a fun way to be a fly on the wall in some areas,
People
man.
forget that, like, the amount of cameras and things that you can see inside hotels and the stuff that you see on these cameras is just crazy.
And you think like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. There's so much worse shit out there than me picking up a fridge and moving it to my room, right?
You're exactly right. Like, they're probably there laughing, like, what an idiot.
What
We could have just called up.
And we've got in the fridge. There's 1,000 fridges.
Like, we don't really care. Yeah.
Anyway, cool. So you shifted away from hotels.
Yep.
The attention seeker. How did that jump happen?
To be honest, like, it all happened by accident. So when I moved back to New Zealand late 2019, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was going to just come here and start a business. I had no clue. I knew I was going to be professional service though, because I didn't have the money to go and buy, like, you know, anything hospitality, right? I definitely didn't have $50 million to buy a hotel. But I also didn't want to start a restaurant or cafe or bar because of, like, I mean, to be honest, they're passion projects. They're not great money makers.
No. You do it because you love it, not because you're going to get rich.
Exactly. And I'm not a chef by trade. I was on the other side of the ledger. So if you're a chef, fine. You could probably make it work better than what I can. But if you don't cook good food, then you're not going to do it, right? So anyway, hospo was out of the picture. So then I just started networking. I started connecting with everyone on LinkedIn. I didn't have a network here in Auckland because I'd spent most of my adult life abroad. So I started to, like, connect with people. I was having like 5-6 coffees with random strangers every single day, 6 days a week. I was going to 4 or 5 networking events every night. I did that for 6 months straight, trying to find out the value I could offer the world. And I thought it was going to be something around like business or leadership coaching, something around that, because that's what my job kind of was actually in hospo. I'd moved around a lot of hotels, going in and fixing them. But then lockdown hit, and then everyone started hitting me up saying, Stan, you know that stuff you're doing on LinkedIn? Like, can you help us with that? Like, we need help with this. And at the time, I was like, well, I don't know where my next paycheck's going to come from. The world's in bloody disarray. Like, let's take any money people give me. You're going to pay me for this? Cool, let's do it. And so I slowly but surely, I kind of like blew up originally. Like, I got a bunch of clients at the beginning who wanted help with LinkedIn. And then I reinvested all that money into, like, how do we make this better and better and better, and hired some people. And by like 6 months in, we had 3 staff and a team in the Philippines actually who are helping with a lot of it. And then that, like, just snowballed into personal brand, because we started off like LinkedIn lead generation, then it was like personal branding, then we started to do video, then we cracked TikTok, we started to do that. So actually the way we got into this was just by accident, and a lot of reinvestment, like a lot of me and my wife just taking no money out of the business, just enough to live on, especially at the beginning stages, and just hiring people, hiring capability and capacity. And then that's what built, like, our ability to do more, because our whole philosophy is like, if we can't do it for ourselves, we can't do it for you. So first of all, prove that we can do it. And then once we can prove it, okay, cool, let's sell it to someone else.
Yeah, true. So you mentioned 2023 staff, 35 now, somewhere give or take?
Yeah, about 35 roughly. Yeah, 30, something like that maybe. Yep.
So does the 3 staff or the 35 staff scare you more? In time and place?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I think they have different reasons. I think if I was to just think of it, like if I just think of how I was at the time, the 3 staff was more scary, because like
actual salaries, actually have to make money.
Well, especially once you hire one person. Then you go to the second person, you have to double your revenue to do that. Whereas if I go from 34 people to 35 people, you know, there's a 3% increase on my revenue I have to make to do it. It's the same number probably, but actually, like, as a percentage growth, it's not as big of a deal. And if I lose a client now, I don't have to lose a staff member to do it, you know? Like, maybe one of the big ones, maybe there's a little jiggle, but probably not. Whereas when we were small, you lose a client and that was it. Like, I was like having to tell those guys, sorry, see ya, like, we got to go. So that was a lot more precarious. However, the stress has just changed. Like, you know, over $250,000 going out every month for wages is not easy. You know, when you think that I could buy a house in St. Mary's Bay every year with the wages we pay, that's saying something. But it's not as scary because there's less risk actually at this size. There's far less risk. Yeah.
And I'm assuming a lot more, not assuming, the proof's out there, a lot more stable, the client base that you've grown through from 2019 to where we are now in 2025, right? Yeah. So, I mean, and one of the biggest things, obviously, through Attention Seeker that you guys, as you mentioned, you guys did your team, a lot of it was proving you yourself first. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, on Attention Seeker, you've got a very openness across your brand, your individual selves, as well as the staff. So if you go on and follow any one of your staff members, they've got their own strategy.
Yep.
They've got their own social media brand that helps drive towards themselves and indirectly towards the Attention Seeker.
Absolutely.
And full transparency around that.
Yeah.
Because you're also one of the very few sort of CEOs or founders out there that openly, very openly discusses challenges in the workplace, hires, fires, why someone got a job or didn't get a job, and fundamentally salaries, right? You're willing to put it all out there, put it all on the block. I won't say that other word on the block, you know what I mean? But put it out there. And it seems to be working for this place and your team.
I think trust, we sell trust. Professional services sell trust in any level. Lawyers, accountants, marketing, whatever. Trust that we can do what we say we're going to do. And so when I share the stories about everything, people, like, I earn a lot of trust from people quite quickly because they're like, well, he's been honest about the things that no one else will be honest about. Surely the thing that everyone else talks about, he's also been honest with, right? And so, like, when it comes to, like, if you actually ask, if someone comes in and asks me for a marketing strategy and they're like, oh, look, I want to do this on this, and I think it's wrong, I'm going to tell them straight up, like, that's not right. We're not going to do this for you. If you want to work with us, we've got to do this because that's wrong. Like, I'll just be taking your money, or you're going to be wasting money. So when I back up my openness and honesty online with that in real life, when I'm going through like a prospect stage with you, it aligns, right? So now the trust aligns. And so that's been a real successful piece for us. And then they'll meet my team. Like this morning, we had a new client walk in the door. She gives me a big hug. We've never met. She gives me a big hug. She's like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you. We connected in 2019. She's been following my journey for 5 years. She then, as she walked through the door, she's like, oh, Alicia, oh, Dom, oh, Connor. You know, she knew everyone already. So when she sat in the room, she just opened up straight away, gave us everything we needed. So for me as a professional service, I think it's paramount. Like, if you're not sharing as much as you're comfortable with, then you're missing a real big opportunity. Do you need to share as much as I do? Maybe not. But I sort of look at it as, like, I got to a stage in life where I figured out I couldn't help people. Like, I couldn't actually get people to drink the water when I led them to the pond. They had to do it for themselves.
100%.
And so my thought now is, let's just show them as many ponds of water as possible so they got the best opportunity to take a drink, if that makes sense. So I share as much as I can because I think there's someone out there, I wish I had it. I wish I saw it. You know, like, I like people like Gary Vee, but like, how much does he really share? Like, I just don't really, like, I don't know how he went from 0 to 1, you know? Like, I don't know those things, the challenges. Like, he talks about stuff that has been hard and why not, but like, how did he do it? And so I kind of figured, well, what if I could take that approach and just share with it, because I would have loved it. And coming up in hotels, actually, one of the things in hotels is that P&Ls are always open. Like, I've never worked for a hotel where you couldn't get access to the P&L as a food and beverage attendant, right, as the frontline staff. I don't know if that's for every hotel chain, but the ones I worked for, that's how it was. So I also didn't know any different. Like, I just thought that's what you did, is you shared all the financials. And actually, like, I'm not scared about showing the revenue or the cost or the profit, because actually, like, why does it matter? You know, like, my revenue, it isn't actually an indication of how good we are at what we do. It is an indication of how good I am at being a business owner, but not as a marketing agency. Those are two separate things. So actually, like, if I'm having a tough year or a good year or whatever, that shouldn't really, like, you might argue that, well, if you're good at marketing, you get more clients, but actually that's not how it is. The best at what they do don't get more clients, or they don't hold on to them. That's not the only factor I should put out there. So I don't know. I think there's lots of reasons to do it, and I don't think there's many reasons not to.
Very unique, and it's very well received across the market. Some people will question it, but like I said, majority of what I've seen out there, and it's made a unique twist to a different twist, different space and I was talking to Con off air about I'm a sort of person that'll call people out on the show, and if there's a company or if there's a group of people, I will tell you straight to your face, down the camera, fuck you, and go away, right? And I'll call you out. And I'm just about to release an episode 48 hours after this recording where I've called out a whole group of people in New Zealand scene. Because they're not helping people. They're dickheads and they're trying to take your money. Where in the sense of a lot of what you do, and I know this is true that you've said on multiple shows before, is you guys don't go and chase clients. You guys don't get me wrong. You will have a bucket list that'll be on you'll have a dream board, but fundamentally you don't go out and go and pitch. You guys go and do and show what works and allow the people that are interested, that are right for your company, come towards you. And I think that's such a great way that a lot of us forget in our environments or even our lives, right? If I do the right things that is right to me, the 1% or the 2% that correlates with me will find or see me, right? Because if I go and seek 100%, I'm going to find 98% that don't like me. Now, I'm South African born. That's 99.9% of people that don't like me.
Right? Especially this city.
Especially this city, right? So that's 99.99% people that don't like me. But if I do what I do, people will come and find me. And that's true what you've seen across your brand, right? People approaching that. And I'd love for you to tell, I know you've told us a million times because it's such a big part of your brand and where you did it, but I'd love for you to talk through the One New Zealand contract.
In terms of how we got it.
I know it was the one.
It was pretty crazy. Like, it was definitely the one that changed the trajectory of our business, in that we were like, okay, this puts us on the map of we can deal with the big boys now. But the way it came about is we had a series about Joni's our internal content creator, or one of our internal content creators, and she created a series which was, I'm going to try steal your girlfriend. If you don't marry her, I'm going to try steal her off you, as a way of getting me to propose to her. And there was a video that went viral, did like 6 million views or something, had a hashtag in it, hashtag anything for Claire, who's my wife's name, or now wife's name. And that video went off, and it clearly showed that we're in New Zealand and whatnot. And a lot of people didn't really know where we were because we were quite agnostic to the location. But then we got an email from Kimberly at One New Zealand, who is the social media lead. And she said, hey, I just seen that you guys are from New Zealand, love your stuff. Can we meet? Hashtag anything for Claire. And then that was it. Like, we knew, we were like, okay, she's a fan. Right? She's a fan. She's in. So we went and met her. Joni and I went and met her at first. And she had a conversation. She was like, look, we're going through the rebrand. It's going from Vodafone to One New Zealand. It's going to be official on this day. We need an agency to take over. I've just come back from maternity leave. I've been watching you while I was in the UK for the whole time, and now I realise that you're in New Zealand. Would you be keen to be our agency? We're like, obviously. And then I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. Right, like, whatever you need. And then it was a few days of like negotiation. And, but yeah, it was like 3 days. We went from that email to them signing the contract, which, like, for a tender contract, like what would normally be a tender contract for something like that, went really fast. And then they gave us 9 days to deliver the launch video, which was obviously a mad rush. We hadn't done anything like it before. We pitched our first idea. They shut us down. They're like, no, that's like, you're so off the mark. And then we came back on the weekend. Joni, myself, and Nate sat in a room all weekend, figured it out, went back to them. They like, love it, filmed it, put it up. That was our, what we call our mean tweet series that we did with them. Yeah, we had, there was a lot of negative publicity around the brand change. People didn't like the logo, they didn't like the name. There was a lot of like association with some like far right activists and all sorts of crazy stuff. And
Vodafone as a brand itself had taken a bit of a hit at that stage.
Exactly.
Well, right?
So there's a lot of bad stuff with Vodafone and all the stuff. And then, so we just, a lot of the commentary around the brand change was silly. Like, there's no reason to care. Like, Vodafone change in One New Zealand does not affect my life at all. But people were getting so passionate about it, and rightly so. Like, there's a parasocial relationship.
That's a New Zealand way.
Well, it's also,
we don't have anything else to worry about. So the smallest shit. I'm going to throw this in there. Growing up in South Africa. My friends still contact me and ask me, like, a few years ago, what's in the front page of your news? And I read, and it'll be, obviously we've got some issues going on at the moment, but right at the bottom there'll be like some bloody sheep escaped, or something has been found here, or we're finding this weird pebbles on Muriwai Beach or shit. And they're like, what the fuck do you guys have? What is going on in your world? Because we worry about the most random shit, right?
Oh, it's so true. And just on that point, like all my South African friends, that's why I love them so much, is because like they're like, "Are you kidding? Like, why? Have you seen where I came from? I came from Joburg. Like, fuck off. Like you got no. Stan, even if you're from Manarewa, like there's nothing on where we come from." But yeah, anyway, so people were complaining about it, and we realized that like this is a great opportunity here to just have some fun with it, but also humanize the team behind it. So we started off with Jason, the CEO, and all the other brand teams whose decision it was to make the brand, read these mean comments. We captured it. People understood the concept because of mean tweets from Jimmy Kimmel. And it blew up, and it ended up being at the time the top performing ad campaign on TikTok's ad platform. And the way of comments versus views globally. So then TikTok built a big case study for it. We got lauded around, and then that kind of cemented our place in that, oh shit, if you give these guys a budget, they can do what they say they can do. And then that sort of like, it really did. Like I give Kimberly a lot of credit for giving us trust. Also Jason and Sue. So Jason, the CEO, and Sue's head of brand, for trusting us. Because at the time we were
nobody's
10, 11 of us, It was hardly any of us. And it just like from that we just started knocking them down, like all the big guys who started coming on board, and we got Pizza Hut and Burger View and all the rest started coming along.
It is true. Like the mean tweets, a great segment, right? Yeah. And it's so true to stand out there and call out the shit that people say to it. Yeah. I've been thinking about doing a segment of that a while, because again, I've in the last 5 years of doing my show, I've gotten a lot of hate, and depending where I've got, I've got people calling me out across my race, where I'm from. I had a person tell me that I'm white from South Africa, so I got all the money from apartheid. I had to call. I took the comment, I sent it to all my mates, all my white mates, and I'm like, did I miss out? They're like, we got money. Like, where's the money at that I missed out on stuff? So I've thought of doing. But it's sometimes interesting with the brand. It's that most obscure thing that blows up. Like one of the biggest ones at the moment, sort of the last 12 months that I love, is Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh yeah.
You got to tell me the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donuts in the outlandish 80s, 90s jumpsuits. It's been brilliant, right?
Oh yeah.
I'd love for you to say on the side that was your idea, but anyway, let's just see.
I wish.
But that's the sort of stuff you see across brands. It's a brand that's willing to take themselves not as seriously.
Yeah.
That actually builds better reputation with the audience, right? Yeah. So stop saying, I'm good, we're going to fix the issues. Just go, hey, we made a stuff up, we made a fuck up, we're not perfect. And rip us apart. And then the public goes, oh yeah, let's get stuck in, right?
I think
and it's fun.
Yeah, I think there's a real desire for people to understand there's people behind a brand. And that, like, Dunkin' Donuts isn't a corporation. It's a bunch of people who go to work each day trying to do their best. That's actually it. Like, that when you work in these corporate environments, you don't sit there next to someone who's just like, well, I mean, there are people who aren't good at their jobs and people who are, but they're not inherently bad people, or they're not inherently trying to do the wrong thing. They're trying to go to work and do their job to provide for their family and provide for their society and all the things that we all do when we go to work. And so I think there is we're definitely leading the charge on it, but there's a real push to, it's not necessarily about not taking yourself so seriously, but letting the world know, no, there's real people behind us. We're not just some faceless corporation. We're a corporation that is actually fueled by thousands of people. And I think when brands get that right, that's when they nail it. The trick is that they think it's about not taking themselves so seriously. And that there's an element to that. But that's where the brands who tried it and got it wrong went wrong. So they tried to be silly, but there was nothing in it that humanized it. They just were silly.
They were just silly,
And like that just doesn't work. Whereas like say even like you take like Duolingo or whatever, when they did it really well they had the owl as a personification of the brand, but they're often interacting with their team and the team behind it and all the stuff. And so they did it really well, is that they use this owl costume to then build this humanization of the brand. So I think with the brands who are out there trying to just do silly things and not take themselves too seriously, like, are you just being slapstick, or are you actually like showing the world that no, we're real people just like you. We get your problems. We're relatable.
I'm going to mention a name at the moment in the American markets, might not be as well received, but Ryan Reynolds, right? I'm going to throw him out there. Do you think he's great at marketing, or do you think he's just great at leveraging his network? Because he's done Mint Mobile, Aviation Gin, he's got all the other brands. I mean, I'm a big Wrexham fan. I love Welcome to Wrexham as a series and stuff like that, and a few other things. Do you think it's a person that's utilizing a growth platform and pointing, or he's actually great at marketing?
Are they different things is probably a good question. I think that he understands that he has a brand voice that is powerful because of the movies and whatnot that he's in, and that he's then leveraging that to he's taking that attention and pointing it at something else. But that doesn't mean he's not a good marketer. That means he's done the investment in his brand initially, like with like, let's take Nike. If Nike did something and pointed towards something else, people would watch.
Yeah.
Because they invested in their brand, just like he did. He went through the hard yards of doing like terrible movies at the beginning and shows, and and then he just built up to it till now. He's like been able to do Deadpool and do $1 billion or whatever he does. That's a lot of investment in his brand that he's done, and he's been very selective and grown and built it. So now when he goes off and he does Aviation Gin, he does Mint Mobile and all these sorts of things, he's actually just like cashing in on the investment that he's made for so long.
20 years.
The
right?
20 years, exactly. And people forget that, right? Like 2 Pizzas and a Girl, whatever that was a terrible show that he used to be on.
Yeah.
And 2 Guys and a Girl, whatever it was. And but that was so long ago. Like I was in high school when that was coming out, right? And now he's at this stage of his career. So I think where people, I think the crux of your question is, is he really being good at marketing, or is he just lucky? Kind of, does he have the same? It's like, nah, he actually built this platform over 20 years that he's able to use now. Could he do a better job? Probably. Does he need to? Who knows? He's pretty much going to be a billionaire if he's not already. I think his thing that he probably has caught on to recently as well, because you've sort of seen in some of his moves, is that he can't keep selling the businesses that he promotes, because then people are losing trust, because they're going, so you're just trying to get rich again at the next thing?
500 million. Right, Mint Mobile, I think, was 500 million that he made, right? Aviation Gin. Right?
And then it's like, no, we trusted you. You pointed us to Aviation Gin, and then you cashed out. So now, do we still care? Yeah. And I think that's something he's got to be really careful with. And I think he knows. Yeah. I think he knows. I mean, I think if anything, he's a good businessman. I think he understands, but I think he's an entrepreneur at heart who could also act. Yeah. I think is probably the right way around to think about it.
Yeah, that's true. I'll come back to the business and as we end off the show. I want to ask about something that's really interesting to myself. Talk me through yourself and Claire. I'm going to bring Claire a bit into the conversation at the moment, right? I know you guys come back just before COVID. Yeah. You had your own personal struggles, yourself finding your identity. I know you suffered through a time of depression. Yeah. Understanding, who you are as an individual. I'm not going to go down too much on that path, but it's more in the sense of yourself and Claire coming through girlfriend to wife, guys in business, working alongside your wife and your partner. I know there's Stan, the business owner, and there's Stan, the husband. Yeah. Talk me, and I know they're 2 different individuals.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, right. My wife wishes there was 2 different individuals, but Lawrence is Lawrence 99% of the time. So the pain in the arsehole that's unfortunate to say what he says is the same in the day job as it is when I go home at night. So, but I know with yourself it's a little bit different. So I'd love to know that.
For sure.
That mix.
For sure. So like over my career, I've learned to be the leader I needed at the time that I needed it to be. And it changes. Like I'm a different leader to different people in the team. I'm a different leader at different times of the day. And I'm not always a good leader. Like sometimes I'm hopeless at it and I fuck up because of whatever reason. But at home, that's not what Claire needs. Like Claire doesn't need me to lead her, right? She's her own woman. I'm not her boss. So at home, like I definitely, I don't know if people hear the analogy of like there's the black cat and the golden retriever in a relationship, and the black cat who doesn't really care and is like kind of a little bit aloof, and you come beg me for attention. Well, that's Claire in the relationship, and I'm definitely the puppy. I'm definitely the golden retriever, which is very different to this environment. Like none of the team would see me as the boss. If anything, I'm the black cat in the business. But in our relationship, that's definitely how it is. So it's a very different stand in both places. But the reason being is that when you work together and you own a business together, and then obviously you live together, your husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, if you don't have a clear differentiation on your roles in each of those places and you start to cross over, there's a lot of tension in that. Yeah. And that tension never leads to anything good because someone has to win, let's call it. And winning in a relationship is a bad idea. Like, no one should win. There should be no need for the competition. You can have debate, and we have plenty of like robust debate, but we don't. If I go, oh yeah, I won that one, like actually I just lost. Soon as I say that I've lost, like, so that's not a good thing. So in business, Claire understands I'm the CEO. She gets it. She's like, you're the CEO. You make the decisions at that high level. She's obviously a part of those decisions, but I get to call the final call. And then as the business grew and we got more and more people on board, she pulled out of the daily operations of everything. So she doesn't do, like, now she doesn't work with any clients or anything like that. But, you know, she did this fit out. You know, she does the special project stuff. She does a lot of that thing when we need her to do and step in. So we have this clear separation of roles at work. And then at home, we're the same. It's her house. She's the CEO at home. I don't get to say how something looks or what we're doing or our dinner or anything like that. That's her job. She takes care of it, and I just do what I'm told at that place. And I play my, my role at home. There's things that I'll do that is my duties, but I don't cross over. Like, I'm not going to say to her, you know, we should have this color bedspread or whatever it might be, or this is the things that we need or where we live. That's her domain. This is my domain. In terms of the lead of those places, it doesn't mean I can't have a, you know, if I really dislike something, I can't say it to her, and same with the business. But by having those clear distinctions, whenever an argument comes up, or like someone says something, it's like, okay, who's in charge here? Like, whose role is it? And we're really good at understanding, like, she's really good at going, okay, like, I've told you my bit in the business, but if you're going to go do that, fine. But I just need to know that you've heard me, and vice versa. And look, it's a work in progress. Like, you know,
any relationship,
like, marriage isn't something that's easy. You know, it's something that you want to work on. It's easy in terms of love, but it's not easy in terms of like making sure that we work well together all the time. We're constantly tweaking, and we've got very good open communication. We talk a lot, and just as transparent I am in my content, we're the same in our relationship. Everything's shared, everything's open. There is no hidden, nothing hidden from each other.
It's so true. And I'd like to know, do you trigger anything when you switch between the two? I know some people, when they go between work and home, or they go to different spaces to get themselves out of one to the other, right? Especially if you left side, right side, or especially if you two unique identities. Is there anything in yourself that sort of, especially on a shitty day, especially on a really, really shitty day when you're going home, going, okay, that is the office. How do I go from leaving that by the time I walk in the front door, that Claire doesn't get the really, really grumpy stand that has nothing to do with her? Is there something you do to switch, or is it just something natural that happens?
There's two things to that question for me as an answer. The first one is, if I'm at the end of every day, I'll often sit at my desk or on a couch or something doing nothing, because my day is like back-to-back meetings all day long. And so my brain is just like full of crap. And so I spend like a good half an hour, 45 minutes just like letting it all digest. I won't go home before that. And actually, when we're in New York, we were working from home for a bit at the time before we got to WeWork. And I would jump off my last call at 8 o'clock, and then would go straight into dinner, and then Claire would start talking and Joni would start talking. And then I would like go into my shell, and I would seem like I was being an asshole. And I said to her, I was like, I don't have this downtime. Like, I need to process all the crap that's in my head. So then we made a deal that end of my last call, they would start cooking dinner, and I would be able to go off and just like process my thoughts, so that when I came to the dinner table, I was ready to be the stand that she needed and social. So that's the first thing. I have time to like process all my ideas. Like yesterday, we all finished up about 6 o'clock. I finished my last meeting. My parents, Claire's parents, my mum was here. We're having a chat. I hadn't yet time to focus. They went off home to cook dinner. I said, okay, Claire, like, I'm just going to chill for a bit. Give me an hour. I'll be home in an hour. Just text me when dinner's close. And I just use that time to just process my thoughts, just get through it. So that when I go home, I get to be the stand that she wants. The other side of that is sometimes I can't process it on my own. And so Claire helps me do that. Claire's a sounding board. She allows me to vent, allows me to like talk through things. If I didn't have that, honestly, there's so many times. Like, I would probably act out at staff. You know, I'd probably like get frustrated and say something to a staff member which was unwarranted, but because I hadn't had time to vent it out, and so I'm just reacting as opposed to having a measured response to the team. So she helps me be a better leader by like venting that stuff out. So sometimes, and I'll tell her. Like, I'll text her. I'll be like, it's been a day. It's been a day. We need a chat. Yeah. And she knows.
There's this weird space that, and not to be too gender specific, but guys have a different way of their mind thinking compared to women, right? And there's this whole concept that society sometimes forgets that a guy sitting quiet sometimes needs to sit and be quiet. And guys can actually sit and be quiet for long periods of time. A, either thinking about nothing, or B, worrying about the world. And sometimes to communicate to a partner, a girlfriend, or just a woman out there, they sometimes go like, but what do you mean you sit and think about nothing for an hour? Sometimes
we do.
You know when you see a guy just looking up, we're thinking about nothing. We can. There's a weird way we wired. And in other times we're worried about the world and the pressure of the world on our shoulders. And it's sometimes this thing that is forgotten. Not saying that there's not problems on both sides, but sometimes it's just that understanding of we take that caveman mentality and that old style alpha of the house and care sometimes genetically in men across the world. We take on those worries without communicating them as well, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Like we talk about it. There's an old video about that, like the men get into their nothing box. And we have that language at home for Claire and I, that like, I'm just in my nothing box right now. Like, just leave me. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm actually really happy. Like, just leave me here.
I have a conversation with my daughter. She's 16 at the moment. There's a few times I'll be sitting just on the couch, just in a zone, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "What do you think about?" I'm like, "Nothing." And she's like, looking at me like totally confused with life. Like, "What do you mean you're sitting there doing nothing and thinking about nothing, right?"
I'm doing nothing.
And it's like normally I'm doing nothing, playing because I love playing video games and stuff. And I play with my son and stuff. So that's sort of my downtime. I do it way
that's
too
exactly
much.
how I do it.
I do it way too much.
But
so it's going a bit crazy, and it's this whole concept. How can you do nothing, right?
You have to. I'm the same with gaming. Gaming helps me get into nothing. Otherwise, my brain's always thinking of other stuff.
I see. You still on Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, still play Assassin's Creed. I've been playing and Star Wars actually recently.
Oh yeah.
So Last Survivor. Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, I've done a bit of the Assassin's Creed, and I'm still a kid at heart. So I'm massive into the Fortnite at the moment,
cool.
and I fought down with my son. So, crazy enough, I was ranked top 500 a month ago in mobile. I play on my phone.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm on mobile play, which is a really weird concept to gamers. I've got a thing of having to play every day and having to get a couple of wins every day.
That's good.
Which is great, but it means when I get to a really busy day, I get to 10:30 at night going, shit, I haven't played.
No, I love it.
And I'll grind till 1 a.m. until I get my couple of wins and go to bed and get up at 6 or something, right? But it's funny because it's one of those things that people like, you would appreciate it. I'd rather still do that and get 5 hours sleep that I've done my car hours because that just, puts me on a different level.
You have a better sleep.
You
wake up better. Yeah, 100%. I totally agree.
Stanley, as we get into sort of the end of today's show, I want to sort of bring back to the attention seeker, right? So much openness, uniqueness, brand building through yourself, attention seeker, each individual out there. What's 2025 look like?
Oh, it's that on steroids, to be honest. I said to my wife at the start of the year, I said, last year I pulled back a little bit. I actually, I did less in the year. I was trying, people kept telling me like, oh, you got to take a break. Like you got to you can't just work all the time. You'll burn out. And that was terrible advice for me because it's not how my brain works. Like my brain needs to be busy. I just need balance in it. And so this year I said to her, like, hey, I want to go real hard this year. I want to take the business as big as I can, as fast as I can, to take us to push through a plateau. I said, just give me 1 year to go hard. I might be doing 80, 90 hours a week all year long, but I promise you, like at the end of it, like I'll pull back to like a more reasonable time in 2026. And she said, okay, like I get you. Like, you know what you need to do. Like, I trust you. So, one, she gave me permission to do it. And two, it's just to we're at that critical stage of 30-something employees. The real next milestone is 100.
Yeah, that's the jump.
And that jump is hard because in between it, you're in a valley of death where you don't have enough business to warrant the more clients, but you also don't have enough staff to do the service that you've promised to the clients you do have. And so you get in this weird place. Whereas around 100 is probably going to be at a level where we're fundamentally changed as a business to handle the next stage of growth. Those 70 next employees are going to take a lot to find and also business to support them. That's a 2 and a bit times growth. A 3 and a bit times growth, I should say. So to do that, 100 podcasts, like we said, there is we're writing a book, we're putting out more content, we're hiring more staff, we're getting more people to do more things, we're trying to build new shows, we're trying to double down on our investment. We're probably averaging about 25 to 30 million views a month last year. The goal, we then obviously need to triple that. Can we start doing 100 mil months in viewership? That's realistically what we need to do if we want to support it. And for me personally, it's I need to start. I went from investing in my personal brand heavily, growing it fast, to then doing the business really fast. I need to go back to building my personal brand again, because I'm still one of the biggest draw cards for bringing business in. So,
the Gary Vee model.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Jay Shetty. People know him, and then they want him, so they get everything behind him, right?
Exactly.
You don't hear of VaynerMedia. You don't, the whole Vayner Nation and everything else.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest models. I remember a gentleman called Michael Lane, CEO of Success Resources, that owns all the speakers throughout the world. And that's the biggest thing he said to me. He said, Lawrence, when I started this brand, I ran as the Wolf of Queen Street. Yeah. And Lawrence was underneath it. He says, Lawrence Lotz is the most important thing, right? Run your podcast and run your name in, but you want people to know you by your name, and then everything underneath is just an entity. So they want Lawrence, they can access you year. But don't have it that they know you by the attention seeker. Have it that, you are the attention seeker, or that's your company, but have it that your name itself stands as powerful, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we've always known that, and that's why I'm still a big part of the attention seeker brand. It's just how do we take Stanley's brand and scale that now? So that is really the path forward.
So I've got an idea for your brand. Yeah. It's there's no benefit unless it pays off. So I know you like this, right? I know you'll like this. In the last 5 to 7 years, the biggest changes on digital, right, from a media point of view, has been the reality sports story shows. Yeah. Okay. Wow, what's it? Welcome to Wrexham. Yeah. Drive to Survive. Yeah. Game Changers. Yeah. Beckham's. Right? All that sort of stuff. There is no one in the New Zealand space following. There might be, but nothing coming out. Is going and following a club, a business, or brand through a 6 or 9 months or 12 months time and publicizing if they hit that success or not. Yeah. Now, I might have missed it if there is something, but I don't see it. And I think following a club rugby team to win the championship at the end of the season, and the change, that whole sort of stuff, or following a company launching and getting their first client as reality. I don't see anyone in New Zealand doing that space in the moment, and I think that people will be really, really interested in that sort of stuff. So I'll throw it out there.
No, I love it.
As a crazy idea, but it won't pay off unless what they're going for is achieved, and you could be 6 months in the hole of content that you can't use.
Exactly. I think it's true. I think that sort of reality story shows are awesome. I love them. I think in New Zealand, some of it's been done. Like the 2011 World Cup was obviously, there was a lot of media made about the 2011 World Cup, and the All Blacks specifically went and got a bunch of people to follow them for that entire lead up to that. I think where I see, especially sports media changing these days, is that I realized this. I watched a video that sort of said the casual sports view is dead now. People don't just casually watch sport anymore. They might follow a team, but actually where a lot of younger generation are watching it in adjacent media streams. And I was like, oh, that's true. I haven't watched an NBA game for 6-7 years, but I know everything that's happening in the NBA because I watch it on Instagram, I watch it on YouTube, I watch everything else, but I don't actually watch any games. Yeah. I know about it.
Clips and the
I watch all the clips and the highlights, and I watch people's analysis of it, and I understand. And I have a better understanding than I ever did when I watched the games live. And so I think that there's a big opportunity in New Zealand, at least in Australia, to take some of that sports market. And I reckon you could probably, with the dramas that are happening with Sky Sport at the moment and everything else, you could probably steal a huge audience really fast. So I would love to do that. I would love to have a sports network inside of our business. We definitely want to do more things like that. But you're right, it costs lots of money. And if you follow a story and it doesn't pay off, I mean, look, people don't mind a failure if you can do it right, but you're going to get so many more people watch it if it's a win. Yeah,
man. One with on that. I coached for 5 years football, cricket. My son growing up, I stepped away from it, and I spoke to both of those clubs. The missing scene in New Zealand of filming, 4th tier football. right? And yes, it's not going to go, but having 11 people on the field, 15 in the team, 30 people every week and come into it. I mean, some of I exist in my videos, in your videos, you can't get 200 or 300 views across YouTube, but imagine having that content. And I know there's companies out there, but they started from wanting to make money on day one. The money is 6 or 12 months later on monetized platforms that you go from. But I'm just saying the idea's out there, and I think there is going to be a game changer in that scene, and there's someone that just needs to send a gopher, a lacquer, with a camera in somewhere and just film stuff behind the scenes and then package it, man.
That is definitely our goal as a team, is to our big, hairy, audacious goal is to have 10 billion followers.
Yep.
And the only way to do that is to create all of that, right? You can't do that on one show, obviously.
Yeah, totally, right.
So you need to have 10,000 shows.
Yeah.
And they all live on different social platforms. And that's the only way we see doing it.
Yeah. I'm happy for you to call that out, and I'm happy for me to see it happen and go out there across it, because I can say, I was here when you said it. I was here when you said it and everything else.
I'll bring you on the show.
Yeah. And I can bring back to that point and go, hey, when he said this over here, he said it on my show. But anyway, Stan, thanks so much for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with today, or so, where they can find you?
Yeah. No, to be honest, these days, just Google our name, Stanley or The Attention Seeker. You'll find us. Probably, if you want to follow my journey, LinkedIn's probably the best place to do it. And if you want to follow The Intention Seeker, I'd say Instagram's probably the best place to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Stanley, for that. And for everyone else, thanks for coming over the Wolf of Queen Street podcast for another interesting episode with Stanley Henry today from The Attention Seeker. If you understand a brand or business that is open, transparent, growing through hard times, but also respecting the audience, their clients, and their staff, this is a company for you. Go look what they do. Go look at how successful it is and see if you can implement it across your own place. As Stanley has said, you can find him across most social platforms and even across LinkedIn, where he's pretty much his main space. But as always, hope you could take something from the show, and hope to see you again.